Welcome to the Tourism Hub podcast, a podcast devoted to you and your excellence, providing inspiration and education that will empower you to take your tourism business to a whole new level. This is episode 2, and I'm your host, Despina Karatius.
Relax.
In this episode, I have the absolute pleasure of interviewing Liz Ward. Now, Liz Ward is a very special lady, a very innovative lady, and certainly I would call her one of the first ladies in integrating digital technology within the tourism wider network. Now, as a former CEO of the Australian Tourism Data Warehouse, ATDW, we love our acronyms, she also has a passion for the tourism industry and the growth that comes from adoption of innovative technologies and digital capacity building. Currently, she's the co-founder of Digital Coaching International and the Tourism Tribe, which is an online learning hub where she delivers projects to benefit destinations and the thousands of businesses, attractions and events that make up our wonderful industry. This is the very first interview I'm doing on the podcast, and I hope you enjoy and gain lots of value and insights from the conversation I have with Liz. Enjoy. Welcome, Liz Ward from Tourism Tribe. Thank you so much for agreeing to be my very first special guest on the Tourism Hub podcast. We have so much in common, and I am really grateful for you taking the time out to join me today.
Well, it's always a pleasure to speak with you, Despina. So just the fact that we're being recorded, I'm sure that's just an aside, but I hope that our conversation can be interesting for others, and congratulations on starting the podcast series.
Thank you so much. Now, before we get into Tourism Tribe, the most exciting tourism digital initiative in the last couple of years, I want to take a step back in your journey and your career, because it's rich, and you have experienced so many different facets of the industry. And I just wanted to go back to the very beginning of why you started in tourism and what was the very, that sparked your interest in taking this path into the tourism industry.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks for asking. Oh God, some of the listeners would have been in nappies when that journey started, which was in the late 80s. It's always about people, and I had been working in the mining industry in central Queensland, which was a great role. I was doing sort of, PA to the boss there, but it involved a whole lot of use of technology at the time. It was pretty cutting edge in terms of the way that we were using technology in the office and for reporting, etc. And I loved all that. I was all over it. And then I was also doing kind of a PR role and guest services, looking after shareholders and things. So there was kind of, just to set that background there, though I am a Brisbane girl originally, but I was there enjoying that. And there was a fellow who worked there who headed up the financial area, and he ended up transferring or moving his family to Brisbane. He was originally a Melbourneite, actually. His name was David, and he went and worked and headed up the finance area at Tourism Queensland, which was called Queensland Tourist and Travel Corporation at the time. And I had built a very strong working rapport with David, and had worked with him previously as well. And he said, would you come and help me set things up, get things organised in this new role? And, I'm sure there's working mums are going to be listening to this, and you're certainly one, Despina. I was super pregnant with my third child at the time. So I said, sure, I'll come and help you with that. And I'd been doing more learning around technology for office at the time, doing a TAFE course in that and learning the basics of programming and peripherals and a whole lot of stuff. It was great. So I went in there and helped him do that, went away, had little Sam, and was back at work after 3 months because he said, we've got a full-time role here for you if you'd like it. And, I was so keen to get back to that organisation because it was the first time I'd really touched with that lovely culture that sits in the tourism industry, and it's in the state tourism organisations as well, and in regional tourism organisations and in the industry, where everyone's got a smile on their face, and it was just such a pleasure to go to work. And I just went, I want to work in this industry when I touched on that. So that was how I got there, and I just was never going to leave. And I eventually did leave the organisation, but I wasn't going to leave the industry. I thought, I have found my place. I've found my tribe. I feel like these people really want to enjoy their work, and so that's why I got into tourism and stayed there.
I love that. And what was the next phase from that? Moving on from there?
Yeah, I found myself being quite useful in that organisation. And if you think about it, that was about 1991 then at this part of the story. And and you've got to picture, and I don't know how old you were then, you were probably a whippersnapper, but there was hardly any technology being used in offices then, in government or corporate environments. So I think they were using telex machines and probably faxes. We had one ring network, would you believe, in our Mills department, and there was and we were using the technology for the reservation system for our retail. Queensland had a big retail network that it ran, and also Sun Lover Holidays at the time, and so we'd use the very basic closed email system, essentially, is what it was. It was a messaging system. In that to talk amongst those users. That was it. So I set up the first IT department in Tourism Queensland, and we're rolling out desktop computers and networking them and setting up printers and loading software and stuff. So I wasn't physically doing that, but I had kind of got myself very hands-on in the previous years to understand about some of those things. And so I set up that first IT department. I was also involved in implementing a modern finance system or accounting system into the organisation, and pulling data out of the back end of that and doing a bit of basic financial reporting from that. So it gave me a bit of an understanding on what sits in behind an application, that data, and how rich that can be, and how you can then use that for making management decisions. So that was a really great learning. And then I was just bunny on the spot at the right point when they said, this thing called the internet, we want to build a website, would you project manage that? And I think that would have been one of the very first STO consumer websites in Australia at the time. And, I was like, well, what the hell's the internet? What's that, So that was about 95, I think, and we built the first Queensland Holidays. And what was really interesting about that project is, because I hate wasting people's time and money, and maybe at the heart of it I'm just lazy and don't like going the long way round, but I said, we've got all this information sitting in the res system that we use for the Sun Lover Holidays wholesale program and selling through the 10 or 11 retail stores across Australia. Why the hell can't we use that product information rather than recreating it for this website? And so that threw a challenge then to the tech team I was working with. At first they were like, no, we can't do that. We can't get that out of there and put it in here. And I'm like, well, why not? Come on, you've got to try. And so we were basically then building middleware at the time was the term, and taking that data, which was great product information that was used for selling, and we ended up with all of those products, I don't know, was it 1,000 or so Queensland products. Then we went live with that website with that information in it without having to re-enter it. And that, people listening to this might go, oh, whoop-de-doo. But at the time, that was pretty amazing, and we saved ourselves a lot of work. And we could focus then on pictures and things, which of course were tiny in those days. And we went on then, the team developed, we had an online services department, looking after the technology across the organisation in the wholesale and retail areas, as well as the consumer website. And then we went on to do some great stuff like building an agent's website for, because Sun Lover was huge, selling Queensland products. So the agent's website, so they could book online. So that was fantastic in about 96, 97 to have that capability. And then things got really interesting when all the state tourism organisations got together and said, this thing called the internet, I think it's going to take off. What are we going to do about it? So collectively, Tourism Australia and all of the states said, well, I think we need a central database that is of a high quality so that we can all use it on our websites and we can make it available to other people who want to have information about Australian destinations and products and events. And lo and behold, the concept of the Australian Tourism Data Warehouse was born, and I was asked then to explore that.
It does make life easier for so many facets of the industry, from product to destination marketers and the entire distribution channel. I didn't know that. There you go. So I'm glad I said I just want to reserve my curiosity for our chat.
Thank you.
You were there from the very beginning putting that together.
Oh yeah, but let me say I was privileged to take the lead role on design and development, but it was an incredible team that we put together out of all of the states, both at a senior leadership level. There was a lot of vision then around what this could be, and then all the people who worked really hard with me to get it going. So it was definitely a team role. But I learnt a lot about group dynamics and leadership on that project. Then I went back in and did some work in international marketing, which was fantastic, and got ATDW also implemented in Queensland, and then went over back to, then went to ATDW as the CEO for over 10 years. So, and here we are a little bit down the track today.
And really that was the law of attraction to me, even taking the leap of faith and following the feeling of I want to serve the industry from a training and development and tapping into the education space. And I tell you, Liz, I don't think I've told you this before, but when I first saw the tourism e-kit and then clicked my way through, it was blowing my mind because I wasn't really aware of it. And this was during my time at Global Ballooning. And, I was kind of going through the flow of, in the same way, what does all this mean? How is it going to impact our business? People are searching more on our website through their mobile than they are on their desktop, and kind of doing that DIY, staying up late, doing the research and self-educating. And then I discovered this tourism e-kit. And then further down, we have trainers in the tourism e-kit, certified trainers. I remember saying to Kip, this is my next thing. Like it just, where it really, that was, follow the feeling of, oh, wow, this is all happening. I want to be part of that. So for the tourism e-kit specifically, in establishing that gap, was that? Can you tell us about that time where you saw the, quite a significant gap between this is what's happening in the marketplace, and this is how ready we are for it from an industry training point of view? What type of research did you do to discover that?
Sure. Look, it was really driven by a mismatch between what ATDW was doing and then what resources the industry had available to it, because we had research when we were surveying the industry that said that there was only at the time, I think it was about 2007, 2008, it was under 30% of tourism businesses had the ability to take an electronic booking. And so we were like, oh God, that's so low. That was one facet of digital maturity that we were researching. And we were really fortunate because we could tap into that network or that database of products who'd listed with the ATDW. We could go to them and survey them, and a lot of the time they were very happy to tell us about their businesses. So we knew that we had to do something to stimulate e-commerce in the industry just during this transition phase while people were building their digital capability, and just to make it really easy for the consumer. So we set about forming the relationship for Tourism Exchange Australia. So that was that relationship with V Cubed, were the winning tenderers, if you like, to form that relationship with their ATDW database and say, look, we can take your database and get them to use the technology to be able to do electronic booking. We thought, that's great, tick, right, that was a big project, got that done. But you know what? There's no education piece that supports this. What's the story we've got to tell to shift the culture and the knowledge in the industry about why this is important? And so that was what drove the initial development of the Tourism E-Kit, to introduce small to medium-sized businesses to what the marketplace then looked like and how important it was to have a website, how important it was to be responding in a timely manner to inquiries, and of course being able to take a booking live and be able to take payment live as well. So we're just kind of trying to catalyse that change rather than let it happen organically. I mean, obviously the industry would have got there eventually, but we were trying to make it happen more quickly. And so the Tourism E-Kit, I think we went live with about 35 tutorials at the time, and then we worked with various people to keep developing it, and we ended up with 60-odd tutorials after about 5 or 6 years, which was great, expanding into social media and online in China, etc., all sort of relevant topics. Yeah, so that was great.
Fantastic. And I think we worked in parallel together in the sense that you were there for a decade at ATDW, so was I at Global Ballooning.
Yes.
And it took me some time to detach myself after working in an organisation and loving the people and making that decision to, take the step out into New World. How did you find that transition? Well, I guess even a step from that when it was time to move on. How did you find that transition after doing working in an organisation and immersing yourself into living and breathing, particularly this big project, into what we'll talk about next, into really a startup?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so exciting. I mean, so the lovely Fabienne Wintle, who's one of my business partners, along with Wendy Smith. So, and Fabienne's background is very much in education of tourism operators, as you live and breathe that now, enabling them and empowering them to improve their businesses. And Fabi's done that for a long time, and the main author of the Tourism E-Kit. So we worked quite closely together, and we had the opportunity to spend, various cups of coffee together. And aside from the Tourism E-Kit, sometimes, we'd be travelling together doing industry presentations, etc. And we would just bounce off each other with these ideas. And, what we're always looking for is what would really make the most difference to the industry. What's something we've got to look at this differently. We're passionate about helping businesses to improve and to use digital technology in smart ways, and it's what makes us both very happy is when we see that happen, for an individual business. So we were really bouncing off each other, and we'd have incredible brainstorming sessions. And I knew that one day I would have a business with Fabi. I just thought it has to happen because our energy together is so good. So that that gave me, I suppose, the comfort that there was somebody else out there who's really aligned with my thinking, but very different in their skill set to me, but incredibly smart. So that was a big attractor for me, rather than going and looking for another role in the corporate world. It was, how do I work with that particular person and do something really amazing? That was, something that's really going to be helpful and make a difference. And we weren't going to do that by both going and getting a job in the corporate world. We had to create our own company and our own vision and purpose, and take all the risks that come with that. So the physical transition out of the corporate world into my own business has been incredibly funny, really. When I think back, it's been such a roller coaster ride, and I'm sure you can relate to this too, Despina. The uncertainties, the negative cash flow. I feel like I'm like doing a bungee jump most days. Like, that's how it feels, and my head's just not quite banging on the ground. That's a kind of, and that sounds a bit glum, but it's that kind of exhilaration, and also you feel like you're taking a lot of risk with your own life in a lot of ways, because you've moved from a very stable and secure fortnightly pay packet. What the hell is that? I've lost that culture now. It's gone now out of me, which is good. And you've got to keep yourself very much in check in terms of that goal and the vision you're chasing during this startup phase. It's very easy to be distracted by anything that looks like work, that next contract or whatever. Whereas, when we set up Tourism Tribe, which is our main game, we knew that would take time and a lot of love and a lot of focus to make it get to the success that we want it to. So we have to stay very focused on that. So it's incredibly challenging, but it's been the most exhilarating, where are we now? 15, 16 months of my work life, I would say. And it helps to have a very understanding partner who's got a regular job, who can go, I'll pay the electricity bill. So that's really, really helpful too. It's been great. Thank you for asking that.
And I love what you share. I love it so much about what you shared. One, that you've just found someone that you are aligned in, your values are aligned, that you found someone that complemented each other in your skill set. It's like you chose the people first, and then it's like, what can we create? And I certainly get that. I can never have a 5-minute conversation with any of you ladies. Yeah. We're always just, it's like fireworks going off. Could do this, could do that. But what I also love is that you can become easily distracted when you are starting up, that you always go back to your goal. And having just been immersed in the book Starting with Why at the moment, there's a fantastic TED Talk by this Simon Sinek. And I've watched it multiple times. I thought, it's time I buy this guy's book. And I'd love, before we go into what it is and how it works, the purpose behind Tourism Tribe, that big why of why it was that sparked you and Fabi and Wendy off to say, this is the thing we're going to, bungee jump with together.
Yeah. Look, the why is that that's more. Let's just say that number one target market of ours, that small tourism operator who's sitting at the on the ocean road somewhere, or little bit into the bushland there, who's quite isolated, who knows that technology is important to their business. They either haven't really started too far on the journey of adoption yet or integrating it into their business, or they have and they want to improve, but they feel quite isolated. They're too small to have a digital expert in their team. They're often having to do these things themselves. You know, they're everything. You know, they're the accountant, they're the operations manager, the finance manager, they're customers, looking after customer service, and they've got to do the marketing as well. So it was, the why was to put information and relationships, connecting them with the right people to allow them to feel empowered in the same way as they would if they had somebody with all the digital expertise that's required to do good tourism marketing in their team. So that was the why, was to help those individual businesses move to the next level in their business. And that, because that's what turns us on. That's actually where we get a buzz, is when one of them says, "Oh, that's fantastic. Now I can do this. I'll look at the results I'm getting." That's the why.
Love it. And how does it work? How does Tourism Tribe work? So if a business is interested.
Sure. I think at the heart of it, it's the strategy about connecting people. It's the online community basis of it, is what is driving the value. It's the connections between experts like yourself who are members of the tribe and individual tourism operators, so that connection, and then across the whole network, the connection between tourism operators as well, and how they can physically engage is through forums, is one of the ways, and they have been like incredibly rich, the forums, the things that people post in the forums, the questions they ask or the information they share, and then the conversation that starts between experts and operators or across operators is, there's incredible value in that. People sharing their knowledge and saying, well, why don't you try this? Or I used this and this worked. So the topics can range anything from, nuances of Facebook advertising, or a question relating to the best way to treat a changeover of domain name, or a particular behaviour that Google may have, or it could be something a little bit away from digital. It could be about policy for bookings. All sorts of questions have been asked. There's been hundreds and hundreds of questions asked in the first year. So that connectivity between the membership, between the tribe, I think is really driving the value. And then, of course, it's very important that they have quality content that they can tap into. So we were fortunate to be asked to take over the Tourism e-kit and to keep that up to date. So that sits in amongst the learning resources that are on the tribe. So people know they can tap into that basic learning material at any time. It's like a digest. They can go in there, and it's almost like the encyclopedia. Tell me how to use Instagram and how to advertise on Instagram, and it's all the examples given in the context is all tourism relevant. So there's over 65 tutorials sitting there, and then the lovely Wendy, who runs our customer services and is one of the 3 founders of Tourism Tribe and business partners, she's generating an awful lot of value-add articles to all of the relevant topics, and they're being either we're having experts write them, or Wendy is continually on the research coming through and is writing articles in a language that is going to be easily understood and digested by a small to medium-sized tourism operator. So all that content sitting there. We've got videos, like we've got a video of the webinar that you did, Despina, last year, which is still fantastic, and that's sitting up there that people can tap into. And then what we do is on a weekly basis, we create a little summary email and send that out to people so that they can just be reminded of what's going on in the tribe. If they haven't had time to come in, they can just grab the highlights of articles that have been written, or they can, pop in and read some key forum questions, so keep them engaged that way. Then they can also tap in and use the help desk. So they can use the online chat, which is being looked after about 11 hours a day, Monday to Friday, so that they can engage there and ask questions if they need help. And they can also get other help. So if they need to hire an expert to help them with anything, whether it's build a new website, set up a search strategy, set up a Facebook marketing strategy, whatever that is, we'll connect them with experts so they can post a job on the jobs board or they can contact us directly, and we'll refer them on to experts who are working with the tribe, and they can get quotes from them and, get that work done or do a one-on-one coaching session with them. And then the other thing I think that's been valuable, well, over 400 people have done it, has been the digital checkup. So it's a self-assessment. You complete the survey yourself and you get back a report of your results just to see how you're tracking against best practice guidelines in terms of your digital marketing for tourism. And that's so between the results of that and the questions that are asked in the forum, that's incredible intel for us then to know how to keep developing the content and developing the platform to help people. So it's very circular then, that feedback is very useful. So I think generally we've got this, culture of feedback happening. It's an online community. It's many-to-many relationships. It's kind of all the pieces of kind of good communication that is available through digital technology. All of that is what's sort of playing out to create value.
Look, the collaboration, and this is something I've certainly I've really appreciated in working with you, Liz, and the team. You approach everything in a collaborative way, whether it's within the network, the opportunities for the businesses and the operators, as well as the opportunities and then the collaboration between the regional tourism bodies, state tourism bodies, associations that have been collaborating, like the Accommodation Association. There is just such an ability. Nothing is seen as competition. It's collaborative and co-opetition. So you've really brought in so many different facets of the industry within the network. I did want to flag that digital audit is such a great tool, for any business, particularly small business operator in tourism or not. So I would love just that direct link to that, Liz. It's tourismtribe.com/checkup. Is that right?
I'm going to just double check.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the direct link for anyone that's interested. You literally go through question by question and tick where you're at, and if anything, to establish some gaps of where you are digitally within your business, it's a fantastic tool as an option for you.
Yeah, that's right, Despina. The link is at the bottom of every page on Tourism Tribe, the digital checkup. But if you just go tourismtribe.com/checkup, no hyphen, that will take them there. And that's outside of the membership paywall, so that's available to anybody if they would like to take that.
Fantastic. So anyone that's listening, tourismtribe.com/checkup. Now, I'm keeping an eye on the time. I've got a special offer to anyone that's interested in membership to tap into the gold that exists. And I just want to highlight as well, it was just such a buzz for me when I delivered that webinar. We had someone from King Island that showed us a view from her office on a cliff top of the ocean. And then there was King Island. There was someone from Gippsland, outback Queensland. So we had 10 operators on this webinar, and they were in such gorgeous parts of Australia. So just that connectivity of bringing in, but it's also a like attracts likes. It's also a community of like-minded individuals that can say, I remember a forum question dealing with weather cancellations. Now that's something I'm very, I've had a lot of experience in. And then suddenly we interact, hey, I'm a yacht operator. This is also, so anyway, it's just very, it's a sharing environment where we all help each other. Now, for anyone that's interested in coming in and having a look at Tourism Tribe, now if you could just take through the how part of how the membership works and how businesses in tourism can come and join, Liz, that would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got one of the things that we said when we set out and to develop Tourism Tribe is we were absolutely emphatic that we wanted to put a price point at it. Eventually, we'd love the revenue from the membership to really cover the costs of running Tourism Tribe, and we'll be able to invest even more in it, which will be fantastic. But we wanted the cost to be no obstacle at all for any tourism business to join. So we have 3 membership levels, and the first one is $119 a year, so basically $10 a month. But then there's 2 levels up above that, which are $199 and $349. And that second level, which we call the no-brainer, it includes something very special, which is access to our Zoom room, which is where experts will be sitting at 11 a.m. Australia time, Eastern Standard Time on a Thursday morning, and you can just have a chat with them. You can come in and ask them anything and they will be able to help you. And then the third level, our premium, includes a one-on-one coaching session once a year. So that's really valuable for people to be able to spend that dedicated one-on-one with an expert, either get some coaching or get some help with fixing something. But what we're doing for people listening to this podcast is we'd really like to encourage them to come and give it a try. So we'd love you to have a first date with Tourism Tribe. So what you've got to do then is go to the join page. So it's tourismtribe.com/join, or just use the menu up the top to go there. Scroll down the bottom, select your membership option, hit the sign up button, and then on the next page it will ask, there's a link on the right hand side for a discount code. Now this is the secret discount code, TT First Date. TT First Date. TTFIRSTDATE. Put that code in, and that's going to drop your costs by 20 to 25%. 25% off the first 2 and 20% off the other one. So bringing that starter membership down to $90. So that is a no-brainer, but the no-brainer option comes down to about $149. So that's good too.
It's a no-brainer. It's such a valuable resource. You are such a valuable leading lady in our industry, and I would just like to thank you again for taking this time out today, and I can't wait to share this chat and conversation with the greater, wider community of our wonderful tourism industry. I need to finish off with, when you're feeling like you're bungee jumping and your head's about to touch the ground, what do you tap into to keep you going? A quote, a memory, what drives you when you're in those moments that, keep on keeping on, Liz? What is it?
It is a pure commitment that we can't fail. That we just, we can't fail. It's just not going to happen. We will just keep adjusting until we get things right. And they won't always stay right, because this is a fast-moving space. So just, we're not going to fail. It's just, and I don't know that I've ever I can't say that I've ever used that thinking before, but you've got to, when you're doing a startup and doing your own business, you have to have a very clear vision that says that this is success, this is what it looks like, and just keep heading towards it. And then when I get that moment to shut down, see, I think yoga is the answer to everything. It's the answer to every ailment, physical, mental, and of the heart. Mm. And it's that the gratitude piece, being grateful for every little bit of support that we have had, and having faith that that's going to continue. So that's kind of my bit of meditation, if you like, is the gratitude, because there's no point in wanting. You've just got to be grateful for what you have, and believe that will continue.
I love that so much. Failing's not an option. Tap into your gratitude and take that time off to be still, like take time out for yourself. Yeah. I got out of that, which is so important. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, Liz. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your beautiful enthusiasm. We just love you for that. And I hope we get to chat again soon. And we'll have to move on and talk about some of the really meaty topics that around different digital aspects. That'll be great.
Absolutely. Watch this space.
All right. You have a great weekend, hon. Thanks.
Bye.
Relax.